Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? Today is Monday, November 27, 2023. Coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. The Fulton County DA's office released the Bodycam video of the August 10th encounter between a black 62-year-old deacon who was killed while in the custody of Atlanta police. We'll show you what led up to the fatal tasing of Johnny Hollman Sr. and talk with his daughter and the family attorney. A Texas jury gives a black man life in prison for the death of a police detective executing a no-knock warrant. He wasn't standing his ground, that's what they said. Wait until we share with you the details of this bizarre case. Thousands of sexual assault cases are filed in New York to beat the state's Adult Survivors Act deadline. I'll talk to an attorney about the law that allows people to file a lawsuit against their alleged abusers regardless of how long ago it took place. Also, in our Fit, Live, Win segment, how to get back on track after the big Thanksgiving fiesta. Do you need a detox? Well, Cootie Mac will be here in studio with some helpful health tips. It's time to bring the funk. I'm Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, y'all. It's Roland Martin, rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
On August 10th, Deacon Johnny Hollman Sr. called Atlanta police for help after a minor traffic accident. By the end of the encounter, he was dead after being tased by now fired officer Kieran Kimbrough. The Fulton County DA's office released the body cam footage of the interaction between Kimbrough and Deacon Hollman. The video we about to show you is obviously tough to watch, so if you are easily triggered, now is the time to walk away. This video was released late last week.
All right, man. Case number for you. All right, I did find you at fault in the accident.
I was in the red light. My light was green.
You cut your turn short.
No, I didn't turn. I can't turn no while what it did. He kept coming at me. It wasn't my fault.
Why are you screaming at me?
I'm not screaming. I'm saying it was not my fault. He ran into my truck.
Okay.
You see where he hit me right here.
All right. So I need you to sign this ticket right here on the X. Okay. I'll get my sergeant for it, but you're still going to sign this ticket. That's fine. But you're going to sign this ticket right here before I get my sergeant out here. Okay?
No.
You're going to sign this ticket or I'm going to take you to jail. So you got a court date of the 4th of October, 2023 at 8 o'clock, all right? It's not a state of admission or guilt. Just stating that you plan on coming to court and paying the fine beforehand.
You can come to court. I didn't do nothing.
You can come to court and fight.
I didn't do nothing. Lord have mercy. Jesus, I didn't do nothing. I didn't do nothing wrong.
Who are you screaming at? I told you once, lower your voice.
My voice is heavy anyway.
You're not going to scream at me.
My voice is heavy.
Do you understand what I'm telling you? Now you're going to sign this ticket or I'm going to take you to jail. I suggest you sign the ticket. Then you can talk to my sergeant or whoever you want to talk to, your priest, your wife, I don't care. But you're going to sign it right here. Here you go. Sir, I'm going to ask you one more time. Sign the ticket.
So you
sign the ticket.
You're trying to make
sign
me
the
say I'm guilty
ticket.
of something I'm not guilty of.
Sign the ticket.
That's what you're trying to make me say?
Sign the ticket.
Okay, I'm gonna sign the ticket. I'm gonna sign the ticket. I'm gonna sign the ticket.
Sign the ticket. Sign the ticket.
How can I sign the ticket? You got me like that.
You're acting crazy.
I'm not doing nothing.
Give me your arm.
I'm right here.
Give me your arm.
I'm right here.
Give me your arm.
My body already hurt, man.
All right.
I'm
already another unit. Sign on the ground.
I should have signed it. Hey, what you doing like this? I ain't doing nothing. I ain't doing nothing, sir. Why you hurt me like this, man? I'm an old man.
I'm not right away.
Sign
the ticket. I'm gonna tase you. Put your arms behind your back now. Put your arms behind your back. Put your arms behind your back.
I am making up your back, sir. I am making up your back, please. Let me give you help. Let me give you help. Please, let's
Turn around. Put your hands behind your back. Put your hands behind your back. Put your hands behind your back.
I can't breathe.
Put your hands behind your back.
I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
Put your hands behind your back.
I can't breathe.
Put your hands behind your back.
I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
I'm gonna tell your ass one more time. Put your hands behind your back.
I can't breathe. Somebody help me. Somebody help me. I can't breathe. Hey, come on, man. Move it. Move. Jesus. Don't change me.
Put your hands behind your back.
Okay.
Now.
Okay, I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
Let go of me.
No.
Put your hands behind your back. Put your hands behind your back now. Put your hands behind your back. Put your hands behind your back now.
Are you the copy?
Put your hands behind your back now.
Let me get my cuffs. Let me get my cuffs.
Man, dude, this shit is so long. I forgot what it's like.
All right, he's got someone with him. Slow him down. Still make it a 5-9 right away.
Where you going? Fuck.
Oh, how are you going to go for
Dude, this shit is so long, man.
Keep people coming, please. He's with a record driver assisting him.
Shit. 104 radio.
1104, go ahead.
20T. Start me supervisor for use of force, please. Start Grady as well.
Supervisor, copy. 1191, I copy.
Hold these in. Sit up, man. Radio, step it up. This guy's bleeding pretty bad. Fuck, man.
No, right? Just a 41 at first.
Just that, that's it.
One car 41 or two?
Huh?
One car 41 or what?
2 car. He hit that car up there. I told him sign the ticket.
Funny.
Yeah.
Agreed.
1191 to 1104. Give him a sternum rub.
Hey, wake up. I think he passed out on me. Wake up. I told him sign a ticket. Start doing all I'm not signing a ticket. I'm like, dude, just sign a ticket. It's fine. You know, you can talk to whoever you need to after.
The company that manufactured the taser used is challenging the Fulton County medical examiner's report on Hollman's death. An autopsy concluded Hollman's death was a homicide, and the taser played a role in that death. Family attorney Mel Davis and Johnny Hollman's daughter, Amitra Hollman, join us now from Atlanta. Certainly sorry you had to watch that that video again. It is what is still puzzling here, Amitra, which I mean, I'm sorry, Arnitra, is that it's a minor traffic accident, and we do these stories all the time, and it is stunning and shocking to me how often a simple traffic accident turns into the death of a black motorist. And what also stood out for me is just the impatience and the lack of compassion that this former cop had for your father.
Your thoughts? You want to share?
So, my thoughts, I'm angry, I'm mad. Like, it's my daddy, you know, and to see him even trying to show this officer respect. He even called him sir, and he didn't even show that kind of respect to him. He didn't have no compassion, you know, for him at all. You know, he didn't even think as if he valued human life. He was so angry, and he was so outraged. He was tasing my daddy even after you handcuffed him. Even after he was laying down and he still couldn't move, you know. And a lot of times, you know, people don't know what it feels like when your asthma acting up. I have asthma. My siblings do too. You can't breathe. Your body going to distress. It's nothing that you can do about that. So a lot of times, you telling him to put his hand behind his back, he still was no threat. His hands were stretched out. He asking him to help him. He telling him. He even at one point holds on to him because he can't breathe. And for you to continue to tase him and to punch him, like, that's gut-wrenching. You know, what that make us feel like. Like, people don't understand it. And like, that was all that we was trying to tell them from the beginning. Our father didn't do anything wrong. He didn't deserve that at all. And the narrative that they put out about him, they still have not changed that narrative, even after they watched this video, knowing that this guy, this 23-year-old black Tyron Kimbrough, APD officer, killed our father. Even after watching it, even after they had did it, him or this tow truck driver, they showed no compassion, no sympathy whatsoever. They bragged about it as if it was okay. As if it was okay. Not only did I have to hear my father being killed, I had to watch it.
But Willie, when you look at look at this video, it's a whole lot to have to absorb. What also struck me is that when he grabbed Johnny Hollman Sr., Hollman says, "Okay, fine, I'll sign the ticket." Then the officer is saying, sign it. Well, it's a little hard to sign it when you have his arm behind his back. I mean, common sense says if he's saying, "I'm going to sign it," and you're saying, "Sign it," well, that's when you release his arm and you say, "Sign the ticket."
Exactly. That's been our contention from the beginning, Roland. We have been very clear. We saw this video back in September, and part of the reason the family really was demanding and the community came out, and the release of this video is really a people's victory, because in Georgia, if there's an open case, typically the prosecutors do not release the video, but the community has been rallying and organizing and marching, and this family has been strong. And to her credit, District Attorney Fonnie Willis determined that it was in the public interest to release the video, and it showed exactly what we said it did, that he 3 times stated, "I will sign the ticket, I'll sign the ticket." And instead of this officer, once he had achieved compliance, Instead of allowing Deacon Hollman to sign the ticket, he continues to use unnecessary and excessive force, to the point that Deacon Hollman is saying, I'm right-handed. You're literally holding the arm that I would need to sign the ticket with. So Deacon Hollman is trying to rationalize with them, even as he is going into distress. And this officer is just beyond reasoning. He could not possibly reason with him. And then those officers showed up afterwards. They stood there. What your audience has not seen is that they stood there for 11 minutes and 45 seconds until the EMT arrived with him handcuffed, not breathing. And then the EMT has to ask them to uncuff him, and they perform CPR. There was no aid rendered by any officer who came to that scene, including the officer, Kyron Kimbrough, who initiated this level of violence against one of our elders.
Atlanta Mayor Andre Dickens released a statement in the aftermath of this, and what he said was that the investigation, which was ordered after this took place, led to APD revising its standard operating procedures regarding traffic citations, allowing officers to write refusal to sign in the signature line rather than make an arrest, expediting the launch of APD's civilian response unit, which will provide service to Atlanta residents and neighborhoods. Also develop new policies and guidelines in partnership with the Fulton County DA's office and the Georgia Bureau of Investigation when considering the public release of video evidence showing the use of force by an Atlanta police officer that has resulted in serious bodily injury or death. Also, the review found that this officer failed to have a supervisor on the scene prior to proceeding with the physical arrest of Hollman, which is why Atlanta Police Chief Darren Shearbaum terminated Officer Kimbrough in October. Both of you, just your thoughts and reaction to that statement.
Well, part of it, clearly, and what the family has been saying is that they were not willing to allow their father's death to be in vain. And so any public policy change that could prevent the death of another Atlanta citizen. I mean, Deacon Hollman was born and raised here, Bowen Homes, Bankhead Court. I mean, this is a son of Atlanta, and it's just horrific to think that he died on an Atlanta street. That being said, we felt as though much more could be said. There was not an acknowledgement that Deacon Hollman did, in fact, agree to sign the ticket. That could have been there. What is in there is that he refused. That's the language that's in that statement. And as much as Mayor Dickens has reached out to this family and communicated with this family, and they appreciate it deeply, what they are concerned about is that the facts that the whole world is saying is not in that statement contained anywhere. That Deacon Hollman said 15 times, I can't breathe. Says 3 times that I'll sign the ticket. That this tow truck driver would come in and jump on his neck and head area, and the city has said nothing about that. Still using this same company, and this same tow truck driver is still employed. It's as if they're ratifying his behavior. And so those are issues that could have been addressed so that there was more balance in the statement. And again, the family appreciates the mayor having reached out and continuing to offer various services. But this is a moment for the city to step up and say, hey, there are things that we saw that concern us about how these officers stood by while this elder was in distress and did nothing. That is not contained in that statement, and that is what the family has been concerned about, and is what has been heart-wrenching for them to just not hear the city that they love and that their father loved not step up and really acknowledge the devastation and the errors and the lack of humanity that the whole world is witnessing now.
It is certainly a sad story to have to report. And what we also hate is when things are done after the fact, because as I keep saying, when someone is killed, you can't bring them back. And so We hate to have to see this, but we certainly appreciate both of you coming on to discuss this. Thank you to both of you for joining us.
Thank you, Roland. We appreciate you.
Thanks a bunch. Folks, got to go to a break. We'll be right back on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
Your business or career with Grow with Google's wide range of online courses, digital training, and tools. Gain in-demand job skills with flexible online training programs designed to put you on the fast track to jobs in high-growth fields. No experience is necessary. Learn at your own pace. Complete the online certificate program on your own terms. Stand out to employers, get on a path to in-demand jobs, and connect with top employers who are currently hiring. Take one professional career certificate program or all 6. Earn a Google Career Certificate to prepare for a job in a high-growth field like data analytics, project management, UX design, cybersecurity, and more. All professional career certificate programs must be completed by December 31st, 2024. Scan the QR code to complete the application. There are 1,000 scholarships available. Grow with Google and J. Hood and Associates. Be job ready and qualify for in-demand jobs.
I'm Dee Barnes, and this week on The Frequency, we talk about school to prison pipeline, book bans, and representing for women's rights. The group Moms Rising handles all of this. So join me in this conversation with my guest, Monifa Bandelli.
This is white backlash. This is white fear that happens every time Black people in the United States help to walk the United States forward towards what is written on the paper.
Right here on The Frequency on the Black Star Network.
Hello, we're the Critter Fixers. I'm Dr. Bernard Hodges.
And I'm Dr. Terrence Ferguson.
And you're tuned in to
Roland Martin Unfiltered.
My pound, Dr. Julianne Malvo, economist and president emerita at Bennett College. She joins us from D.C. Dr. Amakongo Domingo Sr., professorial lecturer, School of International Service at American University out of D.C. Renita Shannon, former Georgia State Representative out of Atlanta. Glad to have 3 of you here. Renita, I'll start with you. It's like Groundhog Day. It's like another case, another traffic stop, another black death, this time black cop. The level of impatience, the level of the lack of compassion by this cop was abundantly clear in that body cam footage.
You're right. It is like Groundhog's Day. And as a result of that, it's going to be a tough time as we move forward for Black leaders, elected Black folks, because too many times it is often like Groundhog Day, no matter what the leadership looks like. And watching this video, I have so many comments about this, probably more than what you actually have time for. But there are a few things I do want to point out. Number one, that officer belongs underneath the jail. It's unbelievable to me watching him say to him things like, you need to lower your voice. Does this officer, you can see that he is a Black officer. So you mean to tell me you don't have any older Black folks in your family? Because the level that Deacon Hollman was speaking at sounds like everybody's Black grandfather across the country. He wasn't yelling, and this officer clearly escalated the situation. Second, there was a time where police officers would insist that people sign tickets to prove that people were actually there on the scene. It's not an admission of guilt, but it's supposed to prove that you were actually there. But a lot of that was before the time of body cameras, where you now can prove that if an officer says you were at a certain location, you were there, and then you have to go to court and fight it if you don't believe that you are getting a ticket fairly. But even that also costs money and resources. And that's probably one of the reasons why Deacon Hollman did not want to sign the ticket, because where the officer is so callously saying, oh, well, you can go to court and fight it, that takes resources in order to do that. The other thing that strikes me about this video that's so ridiculous, where this officer clearly escalated the situation, was that all the time that he is yelling for him to put his hands behind his back, number one, he has already told you he's an old man. You don't even know if he has the capability to put his hands behind his back. I know people who are 40 years old that can't put their hands behind their backs. So this officer clearly escalated the entire situation, and I am totally disappointed with the mayor's statement, although it is to be expected because this is the same mayor that's pushing for Cop City to be built here in Atlanta. For him to say that APD is going to do an investigation, yeah, I'm so sure that that investigation is going to be very unbiased. I mean, all of it is completely laughable. The comments of the mayor and the officers' reasoning behind why he escalated with this man their comments are laughable, but the situation is not funny because we have a family now that has lost a member of their family in Deacon Hollman, who was only 62, over completely senseless violence by Atlanta police, by APD.
I'm going to go to Renita's point. And I say this all the time, that it is the responsibility of officers to de-escalate. And what we keep seeing over and over and over again, officers not doing that. Again, you're the one in possession of a taser. You're the one in possession of a gun. You're the one who can take somebody to jail. And that's one of those things where, and again, if you're watching this, and as I was watching it, if I was the one who called the cops, and I'm factoring in he's 62, I get why he's ticked, why he's upset. And this is one of those things where you just sit, where you let that person vent. You let them vent. Sir, I understand that. I understand you call the cops, but I want you to understand this is what we're required to do. This is the law. I need you to sign the ticket. And then and so you can see he's frustrated. And so you know what? You let him have his moment. If that moment lasts 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, you let him have it. Now what you have is a dead man. You're now fired. So 5 minutes of letting that person vent prevents everything that happened afterwards.
You know, Renita made so many incredible points, but I'm going to come back to a point that she often makes weekly, and that's one about training. And she says, a lot of these officers are doing exactly what they were trained to do, especially in our communities, because these are things that would not happen to a white elder, period, bottom line. And so we see the type of de-escalation training and all of these things will happen in other communities, but not in ours. And this is just another example of how many of us, when we talk about issues with law enforcement, it's not black versus white, it's black versus blue. And so to your point, Roland, about de-escalation, I teach on the university level. I've taught in K-12 levels. I've done workshops in prisons and in our community centers and churches. I've had so many instances where I'm dealing with kids who I can tell, because of my training as an educator, needs a moment, needs to be able to calm themselves down. Why can't people in our law enforcement do that? Why can't people who, like you said, have guns, have badges, have tasers, have cuffs, have our addresses and can find us later, not have the ability to do that? We see in places like Philadelphia where law enforcement, has gotten so bad they had to say, stop pulling people over, just record their license plates and get to them later. But we have a man who was dead. And as a father, somebody with daughters, Black people, we will never become desensitized to these things because we can always see somebody in our own family in these videos or somebody that we know. And so to listen to the daughter go through that and speak about that and watch how her dad was just taken from her by somebody who was arrogant, ignorant, and completely disrespectful, I don't trust the APD to do anything about it. I'm looking at the pictures of this man, by all accounts, a family-dedicated man, a church man, and taken on the streets like that by quote-unquote one of our own. This is ridiculous, and the Justice Department needs to be on this, especially now that the videos that has been out and shown to the public. They should have already been on this, but we have to keep speaking up. This is not a story that you're seeing on any other network today or tomorrow or the day before yesterday. So if we're not going to speak up on it and help these families get justice and make these changes, nobody else will. So I know people say, oh, we do this all the time. No, we don't do this all the time. What we do all the time is demand for justice, no matter who does it, no matter where it's coming from, because we deserve better. And that quote-unquote brother failed our community, and I hope that there's a deeper investigation because there needs to be some real consequences and repercussions for this.
Julian.
Ooh, well, Roland, you started out by saying watching the video might trigger you, if necessary, turn away. It triggered me. It triggered me immensely, and I still feel stomach palpitations because that was just unreasonable, unjust, unreal. I don't know what's wrong with that little Negro who called himself a policeman, who basically brutalized an elder, And I mean, I understand a man not wanting to sign a ticket. And as you said, Roland, some patients could have, well, you got to sign the ticket. It doesn't mean that you're admitting guilt. It means that you're agreeing that you're going to come to court. He had no patience with the brother at all, none whatsoever. And apparently the man thought he was in the right. Otherwise, he would never have called the police. So, you know, there's an issue of perception. But this little person, I won't even dignify him by calling him police officer. He was so wrong. But beyond his wrong, this is so, it's like, here we go again. We see this over and over again. I'm disappointed, but not surprised at the mayor of Atlanta. I guess he feels like he has to support his team, but he needed to say a lot more, especially to acknowledge that which was wrong. And to tase the man, he's down on the ground. To tase him is absurd. And sensitivity, Omekongo, you know what? You do some sensitivity if you want to, boo. But sensitivity does not work for some people. If you have been steeped in a culture that says you can treat anybody any kind of way, you can go to all the sensitivity trainings that you want to, and it will not help you. What needs to happen is the APD, to Renita's point, they need to basically clean that thing out. That young man, he was relatively young. You could tell. I mean, he wasn't 50, he wasn't 40. He was a young man. So how a young Black man could come out and disrespect an elder like that, it suggests either he had some messed up home training, and I'm not going to talk about his mama, but either he had some messed up home training or he was encouraged to think that this kind of behavior is okay. And Omekongo is absolutely right. What the community needs to say is, it's not okay. You cannot do us this way. And, you know, I just saw something where the taser company said, oh, it wasn't their fault. Well, they need to, you know what, not curse on the air. They need to, you know what. But that's not the point. The man was, the taser company needs to be looked at too, but that's not the only issue. The issue is the excessive use of force. When a man is down on the ground, why you got to tase him? He wasn't going to go anywhere. I mean, he was elderly. He probably had, you know, some physical issues. They said he had heart trouble. He's on the ground. Where is he going? Why is this okay? No, this ought to be, APD needs to be dismantled. Whoever the chief is need to be fired. The mayor keeps defending these people. They need to have a recall election on his behind because this is just unacceptable.
Folks, hold tight 1 second. We come back and we'll talk about a case out of Texas, which is beyond strange. A Black man sentenced to life in prison. He was actually defending himself. Wait to explain to you what's going on. Also, jury selection begins this week in the trial of Jonathan Majors, accused of assaulting a former girlfriend. We will walk through that. But what's also strange in that case, why is it the NYPD chose to file charges against his former girlfriend, but the prosecutor's office refuses to prosecute? You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Send your check and money order. P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. Cash App, $RM Unfiltered. PayPal, R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. And be sure to download the Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. We'll be right back.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
as an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol. We've seen shooting.
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance.
We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, Dave.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
On the next Get Wealthy with me, Deborah Owens, have you ever had $1 million idea and wondered how to bring it to life? Well, it's all about turning problems into opportunities. On our next Get Wealthy, you'll learn of a woman who identified the overload bag syndrome, and now she's taking that money to the bank through global sales in major department stores.
And I was just struggling with 2 or 3 bags on the train. And I looked around on the train and I said, you know what? There are a lot of women that are carrying two or 3 bags.
That's right here on Get Wealthy, only on Black Star Network.
I'm Faraji Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Next on the Black Table with me, Greg Carr, working under the constant threat of violence. Nearly 50 bomb threats over dozens of HBCU campuses. In 2022, we'll talk to our HBCU Master Teacher Roundtable about the stress, the strain, the frustrating lack of answers, and real community-grounded solutions to the threat of violence we face at HBCUs today. Join us for the Black Table, only on the Black Star Network.
I'm Dee Barnes, and this week on The Frequency, we talk about school to prison pipeline, book bans, and representing for women's rights. The group Moms Rising handles all of this. So join me in this conversation with my guest, Monifa Bandelli.
This is white backlash. This is white fear that happens every time Black people in the United States help to walk the United States forward towards what is written on the paper.
Right here on The Frequency on the Black Star Network.
Hello, I'm Paula J. Parker. Truly proud on the Proud Family.
I am Tommy Davidson. I play Oscar on Proud Family, Louder and Proud.
Hi, I'm Jo Marie Payton, voice of Sugar Mama on Disney's Louder and Prouder, Disney Plus. And I'm with Roland Martin on Unfiltered.
A Texas jury sentenced a black man to life in prison with a possibility of parole after 30 years over the 2014 death of a Killeen police detective. Marvin Guy shot Chuck Dinwiddie during a no-knock narcotics raid in May of 2014. Though it was a capital murder trial, the jury found him guilty on a lesser charge of murder. Folks, guy waited in jail for more than 9 years before his trial. Now, he said he mistook them for an intruder after a SWAT team smashed his bedroom window and tried to break into his home with a battering ram during a 5:45 a.m. drug raid. The raid was plagued with issues. The team struggled to penetrate the door with their battering ram fully, and an officer accidentally detonated his stun grenade. No-knock warrant was obtained by a tip that guy had been dealing cocaine. So what's so strange about this story, and this is so reminiscent to so many of these other no-knock warrant stories we see on the Congo, is this notion that you're in places like Texas where you can protect yourself. It's 5:45 in the morning. You don't know who the hell is trying to tear your door down. And so if you got a gun and you hearing someone is trying to tear your door down, your natural reaction is to protect yourself. But this right here is why no-knock warrant should absolutely be banned.
Absolutely. And not only that, because we see after multiple tries of trying to get into his home, usually police come in with one bang and they're in the door. So you hear multiple attempts to try to get into your door, you're automatically going to think something, particularly if you live in a neighborhood that's not considered safe. The fact of the matter is people talk about stand your ground all of the time, but don't believe black people have the right to stand our ground. And that's where the hypocrisy comes in. And to your last point here, when you talk about this is why no-knock warrants need to be destroyed entirely and we should never use them again, families of police officers need to know that more situations like this can indeed happen. With Breonna Taylor, and her boyfriend as well, he also shot at them. And so police are also at risk of losing family members. And we know that the police and police unions are not going to particularly care about the fact that some of us may lose our lives at the hands of these no-knock warrants, but maybe when they start realizing that their own fellow officers can also be at risk of something like this, particularly in a state that is stand your ground, particularly in a state where people want to not have the ability to even have to go through training to have firearms, you are going to see more things like this happen. So get rid of that entirely, and then also toughen up some of the gun laws, but that's a conversation for another day. But to the point, at the end of the day, no-knock warrants are dangerous for all parties involved. Even with Breonna Taylor's family, the neighbor, there were bullets that went through, and that was the only charge that was particularly, brought up in the beginning. But even the neighbors were in danger. So when are they really going to get to a point when they realize that if our evidence is solid, we shouldn't have to go through this process as well? Let's do everything by the book for the sake of everyone's safety.
See, here's the thing that's crazy here, Julian. The prosecutors say that he purposely placed something back there that he knew that the cops were coming. Then they also claim, and this is what law enforcement claim, traces of, first of all, in Texas you have the Castle Doctrine. Castle Doctrine doesn't apply if you're involved in legal activity. So law enforcement allegedly found traces of white powder on guy's apartment floor, in his car, in the trash, but he was never charged with a drug crime. Okay? Now, he said, I had a neighbor who was attacked by an intruder the previous week. Prosecutors called several witnesses. His defense didn't call any witnesses whatsoever. And again, convicted. But this right here goes to show you, if I'm on the other side, and again, I got an arm very much like Breonna Taylor's boyfriend, you busted through the door, I'm going to protect me and my family. And what happened was, they say he fired at 4 officers, killing Dinwiddie, and 40 rounds were fired at him.
40 rounds were fired at him. Okay, I'm just gonna let's just simmer that for a second. And while we simmer it, you said white powder was found in the trash. Was it trash in the bedroom, and it was a baking soda or something? I mean, come on now. White powder. The police have the ability to test the white powder. They did not say cocaine was found. They said white powder was found. White powder could be anything. So this, again, this is just the repeated absurdity of the way that Black people are treated in exercising our normal rights. And, Roland, this stuff does trigger me. And it partially triggers me because I'm doing all this research on lynching and lynching culture. And this is just so awfully reminiscent of what has happened over and over again. I'm looking at a lynching now where a brother, it's literally almost the same thing happened. They busted his house, he shot, he killed somebody, so they lynched him. Well, why they busted his house? And they did not have a reason. They busted into his house because somebody said. And so they busted in. He was prepared to protect his family. We are going back to Dred Scott. Black folks have no rights that whites are bound to respect. And this brother has been dealt a terrible injustice to be basically incarcerated for 9 years and then to be found guilty to a lesser charge, but sentenced to life imprisonment. I hope it doesn't seem like he had good attorneys. So this is a Ben Crump call, because it seems to me if he says that the neighbors have been broken into, that would give him reason to be very concerned about somebody trying to bust down his house, down his door. Why weren't any of those neighbors called as witnesses? I mean, there are so many questions here, but the bottom line issue is that Black people do not have rights in this country. We never did, and until we basically rise up, we probably never will. I mean, we have a little more than we had before, and we had a president, got a vice president, but down there on the ground where the deacon was down, it didn't matter to him that there's a Black vice president or president. He was a man who was being brutalized. And with this gentleman as well, you're looking at someone who sees, who basically is living in a crime-ridden area. Apparently, his neighbor was just busted into. What right does he have? Does he have the right to protect himself? Or is he just supposed to lay there and get robbed, ripped off, be brutalized, whatever? You don't know. So, and the no-knock warrant, I mean, those things just need to be thrown away. If you have evidence, you can present your evidence. But to come in with no warning, no nothing, what are you expecting at 5:45 a.m. anyway? The police have gone, they've gone wild. They've gone wild, but we pay their salaries, and we've respected it. We've accepted it. We act like we think it's okay. I know we don't think it's okay, but too many of us do. I can already hear the people talking about, well, was he dealing drugs? Don't matter. You bust into the man's house. He defended himself. That's the end of it.
Yeah, and the white powder comment to me sounds like a CYA comment, which is cover your ASS by the police. Because like Dr. Malveaux said, either it was cocaine or it was not. They know that this was a botched raid. And, these no-knock warrants by design are just a completely terrible idea, because a lot of them happen that they schedule them in the middle of the night to catch people off guard. Well, when you catch people off guard, especially coming out of sleep, you're just going to get reactions from people. People are not going to be thinking clearly. So it increases the chance that whoever you're doing this no-knock warrant on is going to respond, likely with firepower or likely with something very violent, because you're waking them up out of their sleep. So at the end of the day, I'll take it a step further than what Dr. Malveaux said. Black people do not have the right to self-defense in this country. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of times we hear things about the castle doctrine, we hear things about stand your ground, and all that sounds good and common sense. And I'll just real quick tell you what those are, and for anybody who doesn't know. But basically, these are laws across the country that say if somebody comes into your home, you can do whatever it takes to defend yourself, as long as they are, entering into your house, obviously not invited, basically trespassing. You have the right to defend yourself, and that can include, killing someone to protect yourself. And so that sounds good to a lot of folks. But what you don't know is when you add into that calculation, if you are Black, what happens when you try to say that you are doing self-defense, just standing your ground, or exercising the castle doctrine, is that it usually does not work out for people who are Black. For people who look like myself and everybody else on this panel, the statistics are that white people are 20 times more likely to be able to use stand your ground or the castle defense, those laws, than Black people. So that means Black people are 20 times less likely to be able to use that in a defense in court successfully. So basically what that means is, even though these laws are on the books, you as a Black person are not really going to be successful at using this when you get to court. And most likely you will just be found guilty of murder. And that is what has happened with this man. I honestly don't even know that he would have had that much more success had it not been officers that he shot, because again, statistics don't lie. And in this country, self-defense is really something that has worked. It works really well for white folks, but is not working well for black folks on paper. And so all of this is rolled into the gun conversation. When we talk about people having the right to protect and defend themselves and their families, there needs to be a serious conversation about equity in gun laws and equity in the self-defense conversation, because right now, black folks in this country have essentially no right when it really boils down to it.
All right, folks, hold tight 1 second. We come back. We're going to talk about the Jonathan Majors case. Jury selection begins this week. What's really going on here? Why are prosecutors refusing to prosecute the woman who he accused of assaulting her when the police arrested her? We'll also talk about a case that Jonathan Majors' attorney won of a black man, former prosecutor, who was accused by a woman he had a one-night stand with of rape. He was found not guilty. We'll explain all of that and hear from Majors' attorney about that case when we come back on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Grow your business or career with Grow with Google's wide range of online courses, digital training, and tools. Gain in-demand job skills with flexible online training programs designed to put you on the fast track to jobs in high-growth fields. No experience is necessary. Learn at your own pace. Complete the online certificate program on your own terms. Stand out to employers, get on a path to in-demand jobs, and connect with top employers who are currently hiring. Take one professional career certificate program or all 6. Earn a Google Career Certificate to prepare for a job in a high-growth field like data analytics, project management, UX design, cybersecurity, and more. All professional career certificate programs must be completed by December 31st, 2024. Scan the QR code to complete the application. There are 1,000 scholarships available. Grow with Google and J. Hood and Associates. Be job ready and qualify for in-demand jobs.
I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Hey, what's up? Geek Tony in the place to be. Got Kicked Out Your Mama's University, creator and executive producer of Fat Tuesdays, the air hip-hop comedy. But right now, I'm rolling with Roland Martin, unfiltered, uncut, unplugged, and undamn believable. You hear me?
On Wednesday, the trial of Jonathan Majors is set to begin in New York City. Jonathan Majors, of course, is the actor. We know him from Creed, know him from so many other television shows as well. In March, he was accused of physically assaulting his then girlfriend. He was actually arrested on assault and harassment charges. Now, what's interesting about this, and this case has gone through all sorts of different variations, and so Grace Jabari is the ex-girlfriend. Now, what's interesting about this, over the summer he filed a cross complaint accusing her of assault. She turned herself in to police in October. Now, what's crazy is that she was arrested. So the NYPD determined that there was enough evidence to arrest her for assaulting him. If the Manhattan District Attorney's Office chose not to prosecute those charges. Okay, they dropped the charges. Now, this sort of is very weird. Now, we had a young lady, Kaiser Gondrzak, a former WNBA player, on talking about her case with Kevin Porter Jr. And in that case, she unpacked, saying that how she was not actually interviewed by police, how they actually apologized to her with regards to not interviewing her, and all sort of the back and forth, and that case is sort of still ongoing. But there was a story that didn't get lots of attention a couple of weeks ago that I saw that I thought was also interesting, because it involved a former prosecutor in Massachusetts. His name is Adam Foss. Adam Foss, as I said, was a prosecutor in Boston, prominent criminal justice reform advocate. He was tried for the alleged rape of a 25-year-old woman in October of 2017. Well, it wasn't until this month that he was actually acquitted. He said that it was consensual. Now, prosecutors allege that Foss, that they went back to the hotel, she rejected his sexual advances, went to sleep, woke up, found him sexually assaulting her. Yet, his attorney, who happens to be the same attorney for Jonathan Majors, said, wait a minute, later she told a friend that the night was cute and it was beautiful. Foss was found not guilty. When you see this, it raises lots of questions, obviously, when it comes to the Manhattan prosecutor's office, when it comes to sexual assault cases. Obviously, these typically are high profile. Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg has made this a priority of his administration, but it also causes us to say, wait a minute, you're pursuing these cases against the men involved. But in this one case of Majors, where you have the cops say there's enough evidence to actually arrest his ex-girlfriend, prosecutors go, no, we're going to drop those charges. Priya Chaudhry, she is the attorney for Adam Foss, but also Jonathan Majors. She cannot talk about the Majors case because of a gag order imposed by the judge in that particular case. As I said, that trial begins on Wednesday, but we can talk about the Foss case. And so Priya, first off, the Foss case took place, the alleged rape, October 2017. When did you join the defense team?
I joined the defense team probably in December of last year. So the Foss allegation was from 6 years ago. And one thing, Mr. Martin, hello, I love how up to speed on the facts you are. One fact that is fascinating about the Foss case that should really make everybody worry about what's happening in Alvin Bragg's office is that the accuser in the Foss case and Mr. Foss spent one night together ever in their lives. And she never went to the police, ever. That's not how this case started. She, in fact, wrote a lot about Mr. Foss and about what really happened, everything from her obsession with him, which there's plenty of text messages. She wrote songs about him, about how great they could be together, how they could be Beyonce and Jay-Z, but he ghosted her and he should really give her another chance because they're so great together. And then years later, she wrote a Medium post. And on the Medium post, she, for the first time, says, "I was raped." The Manhattan District Attorney's Office, and what's actually really terrifying, is one of the women who's the head of the sex crimes unit, saw that Medium post, reached out to this false accuser, and started this case. So we don't even have a situation where the prosecutor is even pretending to do the prosecutor's job, which is to take police reports, start investigating, making a decision as an officer of the court, whether there is evidence, whether they believe the evidence, to look for whether there's evidence not to believe this person, and then deciding a charging decision. This started backwards. Alvin Bragg's office decided to go after Adam Foss, and they did this by initiating this case. And all of the evidence collected by Alvin Bragg's office showed one thing and one thing only, that this woman is not telling the truth. But instead of doing what a prosecutor is supposed to do, which, as I said, is to investigate and to do justice. I mean, the Supreme Court has been very clear that a prosecutor's office is not supposed to convict people. It's not supposed to try to win at all costs. The prosecutor's office, because they have all of this power and all of these resources, is supposed to do justice. But instead of putting any of the exculpatory evidence into the grand jury, despite requests from Mr. Foss's lawyer at the time, and these would be the very text messages you reference, and you, Mr. Martin, put them very G-rated. In fact, the text messages that she sends him within minutes are X-rated, and they're graphically describing how she is, if I may, I don't know if I may use the word, is wet, describing the
look, the show's called Unfiltered. We're fine. Go ahead.
Okay, sorry. As a criminal defense lawyer, I'm used to saying things that other people find jarring. But these text messages alone would make anyone say, this person is not only celebrating this event, but then she spends the next 4 months trying to recreate it, pursuing him, sending him videos of herself, constantly asking to see him, constantly asking to have sex with him again. And then, as I said, culminating in her writing a song about him, and then also writing other statements about what happened, in which she calls him a fuckboy, which is what I guess the kids say these days for a player, and saying that, I wish I had never slept with you. I wish I'd never let you touch me. Had you told me the truth, which is that basically you didn't want to be my boyfriend, I would not have agreed to have sex with you. And this is in writing. And the prosecutor...
So in court, you said he basically ghosted her. But let me go back. And this is where I'm absolutely confused here. So this takes place in allegedly October 2017. Well, no, they did sleep together. This is That's October right. 2017. Got it. Yes. In a hotel room. When is the Medium post posted?
The accuser, the false accuser, writes her Medium post in November of 2020, 3 years later.
So 3 years later, she puts up a post on Medium. I take it this was seen through the Me Too movement, if you will. There were other people who were posting things. And then that's when the prosecutors then got involved. So a prosecutor saw the post and then contacted her. At no point did she actually initiate the contact with the DA's office or the police.
Correct. And in fact, on the stand, she said, I never would have gone to the police. And we know now why. And this, I saw your show on Kevin Porter. And, as a journalist, you really understand the concept of the narrative, right? And how the narrative is bigger than the truth and the story because it becomes what people believe inside. And one thing about this case, which is so terrifying and should make everybody really terrified about what's happening in Alvin Bragg's office, is, as you noted in the Kevin Porter case, and it's just true in the criminal justice system, prosecutors will charge people, and most of the people they charge are Black and poor people and people of color, people who can't even withstand having a charge against them because of the consequences in their life. And then they will start making offers. And most people will just take an offer to end the case because they either can't go to court, they can't take the time off work, they can't take the risk of actually trying to fight it, right? The offer made in this case, I've never heard in my 25 years as a defense lawyer. This is the offer made by the DA's office.
And that is to Adam Foss.
To Adam Foss.
Got it.
Now, again, they charged him with a rape charge that had a 5-year, at least mandatory minimum prison sentence that would have had a lifetime of sex offender registration. That was what was at stake. The offer was that they would dismiss the case entirely against Foss on 3 conditions, all of which are illegal, unethical, and unheard of. 1, that he goes into court and he admits that he actually did rape her. Right. All that achieves is making sure that Adam Foss cannot sue Alvin Bragg, which, by the way, he is doing, and we could talk about that, and also ensures that this false accuser can sue Adam Foss and win. 2, and this is terrifying, that he never showed the evidence to anyone. That he spent his whole life walking around saying, it was dismissed, but I can never prove to you that I didn't do it. And 3, that he never, quote, changed the narrative. That he never say, I am innocent. And they would have dismissed the case entirely.
Okay, and this plea bargain was offered when?
This was offered in January of this year.
Okay, so what you described, these text messages, so they sleep together October 2017. These text messages, these videos, these photos, how long was she contacting him? A year? Like how long?
So they met in September, and immediately after they start texting.
Right.
They've only met 6 times in their life. The 6th was when she testified against him. They sleep together in October, and she continues to text him until December, at which point he says, I can't do this. I'm not interested. You want more from this relationship than I do. Then she emails him. Then she sends him the video of her performance. And then she ultimately speaks to him one more time, basically begging him to take her back and give her another chance.
So October 2017 to what?
To April of 2018. April 1st is the last time he ever saw her until she came into court to testify against him. So
when the prosecutor sees this, and obviously they contact him, when she writes this post, this is November 2020, was he still a prosecutor?
By then, he was not a prosecutor.
Okay.
He had left the Suffolk County, which is Boston, prosecutor's office in 2016 to start a nonprofit called Prosecutor Impact. And, I mean, this is the irony of all of it. The goal and purpose of his nonprofit was to train prosecutors' offices around the country in implicit bias. Because as we know, the criminal justice system basically picked up where slavery left off, and the entire system is infected with such deep bias, some of which is open, some of which is implicit. And as a prosecutor, he understood that prosecutors are making bad decisions, not understanding what they're doing, not knowing really how to evaluate a case. And this very office, Manhattan DA's office, under Cy Vance, invited him and had him give a training to their office to teach them how to prosecute cases better.
So the reason I was going through the timeline, what I am confused by, if a prosecutor receives this information, and these text messages and emails are turned over. How does a prosecutor conclude that somebody was raped, but then you have evidence of the person accusing them of pursuing the individual? I would think if a woman is raped, she is not trying to get back with that person, is not sending them text messages, nor sending them emails. And so how does a prosecutor, frankly, resolve this oxymoron? What did they actually say? Did they just say, oh, that's irrelevant?
So we have the same questions. It used to be that prosecutors, especially this district attorney's office under prior district attorneys, not Alvin Bragg, they would not bring a case unless they had a good faith belief that they could prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. But I have heard from numerous people in Alvin Bragg's office, including people in the sex crimes unit and the domestic violence unit, that they just believe women, and that they now have, and they use the word, an appetite for bringing cases they wouldn't bring before. And they're happy to let a jury decide, just so they can, as Alvin Bragg put out a press statement after Foss was acquitted, so they can elevate the voice of survivors, which is, first of all, just utter bullshit, because the jury found there was no survivor. They were clear. They came out running after the verdict, hugging Adam Foss. Over the weekend, they were messaging Adam Foss directly, saying, what can we do to get your life back on track? We want you to be back in society doing social justice work. We cannot believe anybody brought this case against you. This was utter garbage from the start. So your question is, how do they do it? They've just changed their tact in that office. They are just pushing this agenda of a victim's right advocate group, which is not what a prosecutor is. A prosecutor has the ability to put people in jail and to ruin their lives just by accusing them. They should not be having an appetite to bring cases that are against the evidence, not supported by evidence, and simply an agenda that has a political motive that helps the DA get elected again. And that's what they're doing. And this particular prosecutor, when I asked her, how do you reconcile all of this? She said, I know this is a difficult case to win. No case should be brought by any prosecutor if that prosecutor thinks it's a difficult case to win, because what that basically means is, I don't think I have proof beyond a reasonable doubt. And in this case, the evidence was beyond a reasonable doubt that this woman was lying. And they never pursued her. They let her go ahead and lie in the grand jury. They let her lie on the stand. They just took a gamble, said, okay, well, let's see what happens. And if Adam Foss gets acquitted, then no harm, no foul. But that's just not true. The man's life is utterly destroyed. He's canceled. He's, on food stamps now. He was waiting bars. I mean, this man was an award-winning prosecutor. He'd been awarded by Barack Obama, the Nelson Mandela Foundation, the NAACP. He had an Ashoka Fellowship. He was being invited by prosecutors' office, not just in America, but all over the world, to teach how to bring justice to our system. And not only have they dismantled that, but they've dismantled his entire life. For what? To elevate the voice of a woman who anybody in 2 seconds would know is lying?
And also he was found not guilty.
Correct.
Her name was never released to the public. Correct?
That's correct.
So so if you Google, and the reason I'm raising this, and again, I'm not trying to out anybody or attack anybody, but if you Google his name forever, you're going to see that he was accused of rape. And in fact, the New York Post also said that singer Reagan Seeley publicly accused him of rape, but the DA's office did not confirm if Seeley was the woman involved in this particular case. But again, you Google his name, accused rapist is going to be right next to him being a TED Talk speaker and a criminal justice reform advocate.
Correct. He is branded for life. And this person who's not only a false accuser, but quite frankly, dangerous, right? She's walking around, no consequence to her whatsoever. And no consequence to the DA who brought this case or Alvin Bragg so far, which is why Adam Foss will be suing Alvin Bragg and the district attorney who brought this case. I mean, and we should also be terrified because I think a lot of people, and myself included, supported Alvin Bragg's run for DA because we thought things would be different under a black DA. We thought this person would actually give a shit about people who look like him. And in fact, it's been a nightmare, an absolute nightmare. The only people that Alvin Bragg seems to care about are his voter base, which is predominantly white and a lot of women. And he's filled his office with people who don't look like him, but people who believe women, agenda first people, not evidence-based people. And what Bragg's office has shown us by bringing a case like this is it's not even do you believe men or do you believe women? They just don't believe evidence. And they don't care. And by the way, on this believe women issue, I hear the argument, and as a woman, I understand the appeal to it. But first of all, what historical wrong are we righting when we just say believe one group over another, right? Didn't we already play that book? Didn't we see what happened? And really, if we look at history, shouldn't we be believing black men? I mean, haven't we learned any lessons of what happens? And as I said, what we should be worried about under Alvin Bragg's office is this prosecutor tried to strike every black person from the jury. I raised so many batson challenges, and the things she said about them just show that all they want is to try to get a conviction at all costs. One of the jurors she tried to strike, this is what the prosecutor said about him. I don't think he's going to be able to understand the jury instructions. This is a black man with an MBA from NYU, with a job which he makes a lot of money and has a lot of responsibility. But that's what she put on the record. That's why he can't be on this jury. And then that same man, the reason she wanted to get rid of him is he also said, well, I know the history of this country, and so when there's an accusation of a white woman and a black man, I'm going to keep my ears open. And that's the reason the prosecutor said he can't be fair on this jury.
And in this case, the accuser was a white woman, and Foss.
She was a white British woman, yes, and Foss is a black man.
I'm going to ask you this here. Obviously, this is not because it was also very similar again, and I've been watching a lot of these lawsuits that have been filed as a result of the New York Adult Survivors Act, and they have been coming fast and furious. And what happens is they get reported, like in the case of the accusations of sexual assault against Mayor Eric Adams, it gets reported, but then another report came out showing that NYPD said they had no evidence of this person working for the police department. But the story that ran was that he was accused of sexually assaulting a fellow police officer. And it is as if the stories get reported first without any verification, any fact check. And some of these aren't actually even lawsuits. They're just complaints that, later a lawsuit will be filed. And so you mentioned this earlier, believe women. And that has been one of the most contentious aspects of even the whole Me Too movement, where there have been individuals who have sought justice, who were impacted, who were sexually assaulted. But then you have other cases. I forgot the comedian who, same thing. I think it was a Medium post as well, where the woman said, "I didn't want him to perform oral sex on me," and it got weird. And he was kind of like, "Wait a minute, well, I sexually assaulted you?" And so this has been one of the areas that people have grappled with, this whole notion of who do you believe? Do you believe somebody solely because they're a woman, or do you say, what's the evidence to prove it?
And that's exactly where we should be. If anybody truly believed in the Constitution or our rights, then the presumption of innocence should matter, right? Because if you're going to believe her, then you should also believe him when he says, I didn't do it. In fact, when you're in a court of law, that's where you're supposed to start with, I believe him. I believe he didn't do it. Prove it to me, right? But when we shift this and we just say, I don't need evidence, all I need is an accusation, what you end up with is a terrifying moment where anybody can hold a gun to your head because they know they're going to be believed, because they know no one's going to ask for evidence. They know no one is going to cross-examine you or even verify anything you've said. And they know as soon as that accusation is out, you're dead. And it's very hard to take it back. It's very hard to repair your reputation. So it basically becomes a shakedown. Look, if there is evidence, then bring your case. If there's no evidence, then no one should believe you.
I do want to go back. So in the Adam Foss case, did the NYPD ever investigate, or was the investigation completely through the DA's office?
So a little bit of both, because the DA's office does have their own NYPD officers assigned to them. So once this prosecutor reached out to the accuser, the false accuser, then there were some interviews with the NYPD there who was doing investigation to try to find any proof that this happened. And all they found is proof that it didn't happen. And yet they proceeded. The DA's office wanted to advance the rights of survivors. And the only survivor we have here is Adam Foss, who survived a false rape allegation as a Black man, and his career has not survived yet. We're hoping that comes back. His mission hasn't survived, but that is the only survivor of this case, not this false accuser.
Well, and the only reason I'm asking that question is because I still am, and you can't talk about it, but I mean, I'll discuss it with my panel, but I'm still confused. I'm very confused how the NYPD can be involved in a case with Jonathan Majors, then he gets arrested, and then the DA pursues charges, but the same NYPD concludes that Grace Jabari should have been charged with misdemeanor assault and criminal mischief. They did so. The DA office says, we're not going to prosecute. So it's sort of befuddling to me. They work hand in hand, but then go, oh, we're not going to prosecute. And that's why I was wondering, did the NYPD have sort of, was there any conflict in the Foss case between NYPD and the DA's office with regards to whether he should be charged and prosecuted?
I think because the DA's office started with he should be prosecuted, the NYPD just followed. I mean, they weren't doing investigation to gather evidence. They tried, but they weren't able to. And so the DA just put in the woman's word in the grand jury, and that was enough because the grand jury didn't get to see the evidence. And your question is the right one, which is, who do we believe and why do we believe them, right? It has been a horrible trend in our country's history, and it continues today, that prosecutors' offices do not pursue cases where a Black person is a victim under the explanation of, we don't think we could prove that case, right? Part of what you're saying is, I don't really care, right? I don't think that person's a victim. Another thing you're saying is, I don't believe this Black person when they tell me what happened, even if others believe them. I, as the person making the decision, I just wouldn't believe a Black man when a white woman is telling me something else happened, even though the evidence proves that he's telling the truth and she's lying. And that is what Alvin Bragg's office is pushing. And we saw it in the Foss trial. I mean, that was a felony rape trial. And they do not care about evidence. They do not even keep their mind open to this Black man might be innocent, and I should believe him.
And again, just making sure there is a gag order in the Majors case.
I'm not allowed to discuss that case, and I will respect that.
Got it. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, Priya Chaudhry, we appreciate you joining us. We will.
Thank you, sir, for having me.
What happens in a couple of days, in the case of Jonathan Majors. So thanks a bunch.
Thank you. Be well.
Going to a break. We come back. My panel can't wait to delve into this discussion. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us.
We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it.
This is about covering us.
Invest in black-owned media.
Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks.
We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible.
Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
I'm Faraji Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
On the next Get Wealthy with me, Deborah Owens, have you ever had $1 million idea and wondered how to bring it to life? Well, it's all about turning problems into opportunities. On our next Get Wealthy, you'll learn of a woman who identified the overload bag syndrome, and now she's taking that money to the bank through global sales in major department stores.
And I was just struggling with 2 or 3 bags on the train. And I looked around on the train and I said, you know what? There are a lot of women that are carrying two or 3 bags.
That's right here on Get Wealthy, only on Black Star Network.
Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm Devon Franklin. It is always a pleasure to be in the house. You are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. Stay right here.
All right, folks, let's go to my panel. A lot to unpack there. Renita Amakongo and Julian. Renita, Amakongo, I'm going to start with you. First of all, the false case is just unbelievable to me. That you could have those text messages and emails after they slept together and they will still pursue rape charges when you see the context of that. Just your thoughts just on what is going on here and what you heard the attorney there, the attorney for False, but also the attorney for Jonathan Majors say that we have to reconsider this notion of believe women because there are men, black men, who are being negatively impacted. In this case, Adam False was found not guilty.
It's frustrating, because, are we going to put respect or trust in the court system or are we not? Are we going to have innocent until proven guilty or are we not? And when you talk about the timeline between 2017 and, 2021, when the allegations came and the like, and you're talking about the height of the Me Too movement as well, the challenge was it's like there were so many credible allegations that came up that people were inspired to share, real things that were eventually prosecuted and found out to be true. And, many survivors felt like they could even be, uplifted to tell their story. And that's a good thing. We want that in our society. We want people to be able to come forward to speak to that. But to go off of what she was saying, this mentality of, well, if it's said, it's automatically going to be believed, and people get torn down in situations like this. I think that he was doing work with John Legend as well, and John Legend wrote a letter of apology, apologizing for lifting him up and all of the other things all of the other awards, the thing that she was talking about, all of a sudden gone. And in this day and age, those types of things just cannot be salvaged easily. And he was a celebrity within his space, but he was not an actor or entertainment celebrity where many people have the opportunity to recover their careers. But particularly as relates to Black men, all it takes is the word of somebody and your entire career can be destroyed. And it could happen to me. It could happen to you, Roland. It can happen to so many of us. And we're already in a system that's stacked against us. And to hear that from everything that he's done, that he's on food stamps right now, I mean, food stamps, to fall from grace to that particular area, we need to be better as a society. And this is not the first time it's going to happen. I know that there's people out there who say things, well, you shouldn't be messing with white girls and things like that. This can happen with messing with anybody of any race, of any background, any sexual orientation and the like, because we live in that type of society where if you just come out with an allegation of some sort, you can get celebrity status, you can get money, you can get treated as so many different ways. But if you're innocent, what do you get? And I think the example that you were given during the break in your last segment was the example of the comedian Aziz Ansari. People tried to, also destroy his career when he was talking about, what you're saying happened was not happened. This was consensual. When you said stop, I stopped, etc. And again, when these he said, she said situations happens, we're supposed to have real prosecutors, real defense attorneys, real trials to really get to the bottom of this. But in situations like this, it's really sad, Roland, because this brother did clearly, from what's been put forward, did not deserve this. But he's clearly not the only one as well. So it hurts.
I think about, Renita, I think about when you talk about impact. And while Amakonga was talking, I immediately thought of, I was like, remember the guy played Mr. Big in Sex and the City, Chris Noth? And I said, wait, man, he was accused. I said, I wonder what happened. And so it was 2021, 2 years ago. He was accused of sexually assaulting a woman in an LA apartment in 2004. Another woman said she was sexually assaulted in 2015. And so this was, one was 17 years before, then another was 6 years before. And then a third person came forward. He denied the allegations. And what happened? Fired from his job role in the Equalizer. Was supposed to have a $12 million tequila brand deal that was canceled. Was written out of one of the written out of a movie via editing. And not sure what the case is, but nothing has actually happened. So the thing is, when you hear the attorney talk about, again, an accusation, and essentially accusations today are treated as you're guilty until proven innocent, as opposed to innocent until proven guilty. Then you have some cases where they don't pursue a civil trial. Excuse me, they don't pursue criminal proceedings. They only go after a civil trial. It's sort of like, I think about what happened with former Virginia Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax, and to this day, I remember covering the story, and I see the accusations. You had a black DA in Boston, and a black DA in, I think it was Raleigh. A black female DA in Boston, a black female DA in Raleigh. Both of them said if one of these accusers files a complaint, we're going to investigate. No complaint was ever filed. But they did say they would participate in an impeachment inquiry into Fairfax. And I just thought that was strange that you would have two black female DAs who were like, absolutely, we will investigate. No complaint was ever filed. And so, go ahead.
I have a different take on this. To me, the attorney came on here to run a PR campaign, and if I were her, clients, I would be upset with the job that she is doing, because this is really a PR campaign to divide Black folks. What she's doing is setting up a scenario. When you pit, obviously, we know the history of what has happened to Black men in this country, but you also got to look at the history of what has happened to Black women in this country. So when you set up a scenario where you are saying that there is, when you are saying basically that folks cannot be like this. The issue that we had before was that when people would come up and say that they were sexually assaulted, particularly Black women, they were never believed. Unless you had rock solid evidence, you were never, ever believed. And so the purpose of the Me Too movement and the Believe Women movement was just to say, if somebody says that they have been assaulted, then believe them and investigate. So like Omakongo said, through that movement, what came out of it was people were reporting sexual assaults that took place. They then got investigated, which prior to that, they were almost never investigated because actually,
there were cases that there were cases, but there were cases that were not investigated. That's why I made the distinction. There were some accusations that led to actual investigations, criminal investigations.
Across the country as a whole, right. Black women, when they report sexual assault or rape, a lot of times it's not investigated. No one cares, and it is never prosecuted. Right. And so what I'm saying is my issue with the attorney is that she's setting up a dynamic where you almost have to pick a side between believing Black women versus believing Black men. Even though that's not
what she said, though. That's not what she said.
Hold on. But hold on. Let me finish, because that is the way that I heard it when she said that she basically made the point that this whole Me Too and Believe Women was a completely bad thing. And what I'm saying about what she's saying is that was not a completely bad thing. It's still not a completely bad thing, because look at it this way. If there are certain crimes where if you say that someone has done something to you, people automatically believe you, and they go ahead and follow up on an investigation. For example, if I say that I have been robbed, no one is going to immediately call me a liar. People will say, okay, she got robbed. Let's figure out who robbed her. When it comes to sexual assault, this is one of those crimes that Black women in particular, women in general, but more specifically Black women, if they say that they have been raped or sexually assaulted, people automatically say you're a liar until you can prove it.
But she didn't. But Renita, she wasn't talking about Black women. She specific. I mean, in this case, but in the case, but one second.
No. Women as a whole.
No. She specifically mentioned when white women have accused Black women of rape.
She did. But right. Let me finish, Roland. What I'm saying is she left Black women out of this conversation because she said that the whole Me Too and the whole Believe Women was not that was bad in general, because what it does is automatically sets up something where you just believe women. What I am saying in that is that is true. You are seeing in the cases that she was referencing people who it sounds like from the evidence are not telling the truth, but where that was a help was to Black women who previously, if they said that they were sexually assaulted or raped or anything, people were not starting at a neutral position of, okay, let's just investigate and see if this happened. They were just completely cast aside. So what I'm saying.
But what this is, again, first of all, she was specifically talking about the Adam Foss case, who was an African-American man who was accused of rape by a white woman. The thing that, again, what I heard her say is that, are you innocent until proven guilty? What her biggest criticism is that, as she described, there was no real investigation. You said allegation, investigation. I just gave an example in the case of Justin Fairfax, where there were allegations. 2 Black female prosecutors said, if a criminal complaint is filed, we will investigate. Yet the 2 Black women who made the allegation against him never filed the complaint. So therefore, there was never an investigation.
Right. But here's where I'm trying to round the corner for you, which is that before that movement, you would have a complaint. And if it came from a Black woman in particular,
I'm aware.
It's likely statistically for that to be followed up on. It was never investigated.
No, I'm aware of that. So first of all, I don't need to be. But I'm stating what she was speaking of.
Right, I know, but what I'm telling you is she has a blind spot, because where she dogged the Believe Women movement, what I'm saying is that philosophy is not to say that that there can be no false accusers. That philosophy is just to say, at least start it neutral. So if somebody says that they have been assaulted, at least follow up on those things and investigate it.
Yes.
And so where she took it from the perspective of, we're only talking about Black men who have been falsely accused, what I am saying is that she's trying to throw out the baby with the bathwater. Everybody should be agreed with at one point, which is that if somebody says that they have been assaulted or raped, then we need to start at a neutral position of believe that if they say that they have been, okay, let's go from there and do an investigation, which is not the set point that most folks come from. In addition to that, she left out a lot of how government works. Now, I agree with her on some of the things she said, in that really any complaint filed against you is going to give you a black mark. If anybody's accused of child abuse, you're going to lose contracts, you're going to lose all kinds of things. That is the way that our criminal justice system is set up. The part where she talked about, well, the person who, that a complaint was never actually filed, but they read it in a Medium article, it's like, but if you talk to any prosecutor, and I'm not saying this is right, but I'm just saying that she should have at least leveled with you all and been real about how government works and how prosecutors work. Prosecutors will tell you that their job is to protect the public. And so, for example,
but here's the deal, though. Let's be clear. But let's be real clear. She's a defense attorney.
You don't have a complaint.
But here's the deal. Here's the deal, though. Her job as a defense attorney is to defend her client, and that's just so again, I understand what a prosecutor does, what a defense attorney does. The thing for me, one second. The thing for me, because I know Julian is trying to step in as well. The thing for me that I still go back to, which I do believe is important, is that if an allegation is made, that you actually have an investigation. I'm still confused by the Foss case, that you could have text message and emails of someone pursuing this guy, but accused him of rape, but you have text messages and emails that completely contradict that. I just don't think somebody's going to be raped and then going to be pursuing that guy after the fact. And so it's interesting to me that this here still went all the way to a trial. And so it speaks to, Julian, this notion of what is due process, and do we actually see it as innocent until proven guilty, or is it really the reverse?
Well, it depends on who it is, obviously. I mean, if you look at the history of lynching, I know y'all think I'm a one-tone pony on this, but that's what I am these days. If you look at the history of lynching, people didn't have any due process.
Oh, hell no! That was a rumor, and it was indicted, trial, jury, sentencing, all done in 30 minutes.
There were even a couple cases I found where, because somebody was accused of a crime and they were able to flee, in one case the man's sister was lynched because they couldn't get him, so they got her.
Got it.
When we talk about this intersection between race and gender, I mean, I don't completely agree with Renita, partially, but not completely, because I don't think that lady you had on necessarily left out black women. Black women weren't in this. What I think she was doing was, as you said, she's a defense attorney. She was basically defending her client. But whenever we talk about rape, I always want to mention the name Areese Taylor. Oprah mentioned her, and I think in Academy Awards, and others have mentioned her. This is a black woman who was abducted by 7 white men in a tribe. Might have been 6. Y'all know sometimes I exaggerate. It's either 6 or 7 white men in a car. They took her, they brutalized her, they raped her so bad she could not have children anymore. And then the white boys said she wanted to go with them.
Right.
That was her choice. Who chooses to be raped by 6 people? She had a 3-year-old. She could never have any other children. And so when we talk about race and gender and rape and accusations, we always have to keep her in mind, which does mean we do have to pay attention. We say believe the woman. What are we saying about black women? But at the same time, it just seems to me, especially when we do the next case about people coming back 5 and 6 and 10 years later. I mean, I have a tendency to believe black women. I have a tendency not to believe white women. Why? Because of the history. I have a tendency to believe black men because of the history. I have a tendency not to believe white men because of history. I am seeped in the history, and that's where my implicit bias is we know how the system treats black people. But at the same time, there's something to be said for the silencing of all women. There's something to be said for the fact that women, I mean, there's so many cases where women in the 1950s said they were raped, they became the hoe. I mean, they became, how did that happen? What were you wearing? What did you say? Did you go to the bar? All of those things. So I think it's very complicated. I don't have a straight line on this. I have a straight line clearly on Adam Foss. This is the craziest thing I've ever heard. You stalked a man for a couple of years, you sent him naked pictures and whatever else, and then he raped you? I don't think so. So I mean, in his case, I do it. So many of these other cases, Roland, as I've gotten older, I would say, I have more mixed feelings. I mean, 20 years ago, I'd be like, yeah, believe the woman. Now I'm like, we have to pay more attention to the nuances. The Justin Fairfax case, that was such a tragedy. That young brother had so much promise and potential. And these two sisters, one of them who, never mind, not the professor, the other one, there was a lot of evidence that she was kind of a little cray-cray. The sister who was a professor in California, less so. But there was countervailing something, but it wasn't evidence because nobody ever went to court. But the brother ended up, he was a shoo-in to be governor when whoever the guy was, the one with the blackface, I forgot his name.
Right. He was going to likely step down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then this comes up, and so one wonders about that.
That's probably the biggest thing that probably still, and I was actually saying this even when that happened, that what confused me immensely during that whole deal with Justin Fairfax was two black female DAs saying, we will absolutely investigate if a complaint is filed. No complaint was ever filed. Yet, both women said they would participate in an impeachment inquiry that the Republicans wanted to have against Fairfax. And I said, I'm confused. If you're seeking justice, why would you not file a criminal complaint? But you would participate in an impeachment inquiry. That was my, and again, that wasn't me. Let me be very clear. Justin Fairfax is an alpha. He's in the same Boulay chapter. It wasn't taken aside. I was just confused by that because I would think that if you're a black woman and then you go public, that you absolutely will want a black female prosecutor, someone to investigate your case. I to this day, I still don't understand why a criminal complaint was never filed by either woman with a black female DA in both locations.
Roland, more than likely there was not criminal activity.
Hold on, one second. Can't have both at the same time. Julian, then Renita.
Okay.
Yeah. More than likely there was no criminal activity. One of the things that one of my insiders in Virginia said to me is that look at what the difference will be between Justin as governor and that guy who's governor now.
It was Ralph Northam, who was the then governor, and then, of course, when the election came around, Terry McAuliffe ran on the Democratic side, and then, of course, Youngkin won as a Republican.
But here's the issue, Roland. When you look at some of the things that were pending, there was a pipeline issue. There was a pipeline issue that Justin did not support and Northam supported.
Got it.
And one wonders what the oil and gas money was doing behind the scenes. That's all.
Renita, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to make clear a few things. My comments are not in reference specifically about Justin Fairfax, Majors, or Foss. I'm saying take all of those cases aside and the specifics of it. What I'm saying, number one, to what you just said, Roland, about why people wouldn't file criminal complaints, more and more survivors of sexual assault are saying they don't file complaints because all that happens is the police drag you in, go through your whole sexual history. Next thing you know, you're in court, and it's really just embarrassing and re-traumatizing for you. So a lot of people don't file criminal complaints. But
Renita, I wasn't speaking in general. Right. Here's what I was still confused by. How could someone say, I'm not going to file a criminal complaint, but I'll participate in an impeachment inquiry? That's what.
Well, that's what I just explained to you, is that a lot of times these cases can take, a lot of times these cases can take years to go to court. And so you're rehashing the trauma over and over. So what I'm saying is. But
that's what would have happened. One second. That's what would have happened in an impeachment inquiry. And guess what? And guess what? There never was an impeachment inquiry. There never was.
Right.
So, one second, hold up. I'm gonna finish this point. Again, if I go public and I'm seeking justice, again, I don't file a criminal complaint with two black female DAs, but I do say I participate in an impeachment inquiry. Am I not rehashing rehashing what I say took place. And
one is a much shorter time frame, and maybe I don't know a lot.
One never happened.
What I'm saying is impeachment inquiry.
Hold up, Julian. Hold up, Julian.
Impeachment inquiry is probably a shorter timeline.
It didn't happen.
What happens it didn't happen, but what I'm saying is when those do happen, they usually happen in the Senate, and they usually are a much more defined time frame. So what I'm saying is that victims have a lot of different reasons why they will or will not report to police. But the comment I really want to make
Hold up. I want to finish that before you go to your comment. So if the impeachment inquiry never happened, granted, you never filed a criminal complaint. So
you're not going to, because that's a big, long process to go through the courts. I'm telling you, a lot of people are making that decision nowadays. And we saw bills in the Georgia General Assembly having to do with sexual assault that when they required people to file a complaint, a lot of people, including myself, had pushback for that because the process has not been worked out for how to deal with people who have had something happen to them.
Right here in New York in the Adam Foss case, the woman filed a complaint. First of all, she wrote a piece in November 2020, but it was finished 3 years later. November 2023 with an actual trial. The complaints against Justin Fairfax took place more than 5 years ago, and nothing has been. Again, I understand about the whole deal about what takes time. What is still the number one thing for me that makes no sense is I don't want to file a criminal complaint with 2 black female DAs, but I will participate in an impeachment inquiry that never happened. So B never happened, and so I never did A. So if I wanted justice, nothing ever happened. It's just sitting. The allegation is just sitting out there in the wind, and there was actually no resolving of it, other than the complaint was alleged. But go ahead.
But let me finish one final comment. But what I'm telling you, Roland, is that people now are thinking twice about filing criminal complaints, and it's different from victim to victim. That's all I'm saying, or person to person.
Okay, but guess what? A criminal complaint. Okay, guess what? A criminal complaint wasn't filed. They said to participate in the impeachment inquiry, and a civil lawsuit was never filed.
Come on. Right. And like I said, people are rethinking how they want to go about these things when they say that they have been assaulted. And in
the case of Justin Fairfax, the only thing that one wanted to achieve was solely making the allegation.
I don't know what point.
But that's why I'm not speaking broadly. I'm not speaking broadly. That's why when I look at case by case, when I look at this whole deal here, and the reason I had Priya on, when I read the Adam Foss case, what made no sense to me is, okay, you say you were raped. He says it was consensual. Then we find out that she literally was sending text messages and emails after the fact, okay? And so I'm sitting here going, how can a prosecutor pursue a guilty verdict against somebody when you literally have evidence of the woman making the accusation still trying to get with the brother? How was that actually rape? And so I still believe, because here's the deal, I do believe in innocent until proven guilty. I do believe in listening to look, I got 9 nieces. I believe in listening to a woman. I believe in hearing her out. I believe in believing her, but also there has to be investigations. I think, and the reason I'm bringing up Fairfax, that is a perfect example of it was an accusation, there was no investigation, there was no criminal complaint, there was no civil lawsuit, and the end result was accusation. He never runs. He ran, but got blown out, and now that is forever out there, and it didn't get resolved either way. It's just sitting out there, and that is still confusing to me. And I would think if I got two black female prosecutors, and again I got 2.
Let me just make one comment, because we're saying the same thing.
No, actually we're not. But go ahead.
No, we are, because the part where you said that if somebody says that they've been assaulted, it needs to be investigated. That is the same thing as believe women, believe them enough to at least do an investigation. And so everything you brought up with Foss, Fairfax, and all of them, I am not involved in those cases. I do not know a lot of details about those cases. I'm just giving you potential reasons of why people may have done what they have done. I am not saying that what they did was correct. What I am saying is that when Priya is saying that this theory of believe women is bad, what I'm saying is that for Black women, because this is a show for Black viewers, for Black women, what they need to understand is when she is demonizing to believe women, all people are saying is, and particularly for Black women, what that means is if you say you've been assaulted, there will just at least be an investigation and will be taken seriously. Prior to Me Too and people saying believe women, Black women were saying they were assaulted and there was not even an investigation. It was just like people were like, you're just a lie until you can prove it. And that's all I'm saying.
But there also are Black men watching who also right. And again, that's what Priya said. Do an investigation, and her problem was she called it a faulty investigation by the New York DA's office. And look what happened. He was acquitted. Julian, final comment, and then Makongo, you'll close us out, and I got to go to my final guest.
Again, when you have the intersection of race and gender, you're also going to have something that's very complicated. In the Justin case, I mean, I'm a little biased because I was a big Justin fan, but the matter of the fact, what Renita says, well, they don't want to be exposed. Well, these women exposed themselves. They came forward and said stuff that may or may not have been true. In one case, there's some evidence that simply was not true. But all the reprobation, all the whatever they got it anyway. They got it because they stepped out there. So if you're going to step out there, believe in yourself, believe in your case, and take it to damn court. Don't just throw allegations out for reporters to speculate about. Take it to court if you really believe that. Have a good lawyer and prove it. I mean, Black women historically have not been believed, but increasingly we are being believed. And those sisters, if they thought they had credible cases, they could have taken them to court. They chose not to. And while we can speculate about why, my speculation is because some of that stuff just did not happen.
I'm a Congo.
We need to create an infrastructure where people cannot have their entire lives destroyed over allegations that are proven to be false or when trials prove that there's innocence. I definitely stand with, we have to believe the accusers and we have to have the proper investigations like as Renita is talking about. But as you're saying, Roland, as well, when certain things don't add up, there should be, A and B and then C should come after. When A and B and you get F or something like that, or 1 + 2 = 7, then people need to fall back and we need to not take people's lives. We don't want the victims to have their lives stolen and we don't want the people who are accused to become victims as well. And this muddies the water for everybody. And it's going to put us in situations where more people are afraid to come forward truthfully, especially when there are celebrity cases involved, because the way this infrastructure works, people will go after them and destroy them as well. So on these particular cases that we've been talking about, it's very disappointing what happened with Justin, what happened with Foss. We'll see what happens with the Majors case, even though there's some, shadiness that's going on right there. But it makes it harder for people to come forward who are really abused, and it makes it harder for people to prove themselves innocent when we have an infrastructure, media, social media, that's ready to try them. And that's an infrastructure that we have to change.
And I got questions. I don't understand in the Majors case how the DA's office can pursue assault charges against him based upon him being arrested by the NYPD, but then the NYPD arresting his accuser, then the prosecutors choosing not to, prosecutor dropping those charges against her, probably because they need her to testify against him. And the last thing you need is her credibility being shot by her testifying against him, with her already being charged with assault herself by NYPD. So in that case, I am still utterly. I would love to hear in the prosecutor's office said, well, we said we dropped the charges. I'm just confused that the cops would say there's enough evidence to charge her with assault, even if it's misdemeanor assault. But the DA says we're dropping the charges against her. but we're pursuing the charges against him when both people are involved in the same case. That trial begins on Wednesday. We'll be keeping you up to date as well. All right, folks, gotta go to break. We come back. Thanksgiving weekend is over. I know y'all were like me and other folk. Y'all had a good time with your family, but I'm sure you stepped on that scale and went, what in the hell happened? Cootie Mac is here to talk about how do we get back on track post-Thanksgiving, at least to get you right for a month before Christmas rolls up. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered right here on the Black Star Network.
About blackness and what happens in black culture. We're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it.
This is about covering us.
Invest in black-owned media.
Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks.
We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible.
Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland@RolandSMartin.com.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
An angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol. We've seen shooting.
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Bruce Smith, creator and executive producer of The Proud Family, Louder and Prouder, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, folks, it is Monday, the Monday after Thanksgiving, and I'm sure a lot of y'all, man, y'all got home, y'all got on that scale, and you went, Ooh, what the hell just happened over the last 4 days? Although Thanksgiving on Thursday, let's just be real clear. We just call it Thanksgiving weekend. So, you know, all the rules went out the window like crazy. Y'all got the video ready? This was my family. We were at my sister's house, and it was food galore. Lord have mercy. The kitchen was jam-packed, and of course, y'all know how it is. You got leftovers on Friday, Saturday, and you close it out on Sunday. You take the stuff and you figure out other stuff to hook it up with. And so now, what do you do after all the damage has been done? Cootie Mac joins us. Glad to have him on the show. All right, so somebody sent me, so I saw somebody post a lymphatic detox massage or something. People were saying, oh, you need to be doing a detox. I've seen all kind of other stuff. So just your thoughts on this, because again, folk did some damage over the last several days.
Yeah, and nobody's exempt. I even tried. I tried to get it right. I tried to do my thing. I recommend a certain way to eat on the holidays, right? And then my brother invites me over the next day. He's like, hey, I want to cook for you and baby girl. I'm like, okay, cool, we go there.
You got games, you had NFL games, college games.
And it was one vegetable side and like 5 carb sides. I'm not trying to roll
some vegetables? No.
I look for the vegetables.
No, I saw some yams. See, that's not a vegetable?
No, man.
Oh.
And see,
that was a corn casserole. That's not a vegetable?
Nah, man.
Okay, I'm trying to think. I think I saw some green beans.
Okay, green beans we can work with.
Right, I saw that.
You saw it?
No, I had some.
Okay, all right.
No, I had some. I'm saying it was that. I remember that was something green that was present.
Right.
Yeah.
And so therein lies a challenge. So the problem I have with the idea of cleanses is most of the time when most people talk about cleanses, it's always this extreme thing that they're doing. It's an aberration to their lifestyle.
Right.
And that's not going to be sustainable.
Right. I mean, you could do it like I've done.
Yeah.
Like a 20-day cleanse 3 or 4 times. And it's like, oh, man, lost 18 pounds on a 21-day cleanse. But, all right, what you going to do after the...
Eat a French fry and all of a sudden it all comes back.
Right.
So what I really advocate is eating on program. What I call on program, any food that will take you towards your fitness goal is on program. So depending on your situation, some foods may be different for others, depending on where you are. If you're maintaining versus trying to actually lose weight.
Gotcha.
And if you're actually trying to lose weight, then you got to change something. Now, again, I get it. It's the holidays. You just mentioned. You've got Thanksgiving. You've got the whole weekend that comes after.
Man, you about to have Christmas parties coming up.
Oh, my goodness.
You about to have all
New Year's.
Right.
Somebody's birthday is just going to fall in there anyway. So all these things are going to happen. So what you've got to figure out is how to navigate these things intelligently as opposed to just trying to do these abrupt, I'm going to just eat how I feel like eating and then slamming out of it.
Right.
So what you want to do, obviously, you want to eat more fruits and vegetables. The simple thing that I always tell people to do is, if you can, if it's a potluck situation, bring something with you that you know you enjoy, but is green, a salad, some Brussels sprouts. Bring something with you so that you know at least you've got.
So let's say, okay, so fine. So you come out of Thanksgiving and they say there was lots of cakes and pies and stuff.
Right.
So are you saying, all right, today's Monday, go to the store, get you some green apples, get you some, and what fruits to get?
Yes.
Because that's the other thing as well.
Yes. So anything that's in the apples family, if you have an aversion to apples, berries, if you have an aversion to berries, melons, kiwi.
So when we say berries, blackberries, raspberries, blueberries.
Any berry except for a dried cranberry.
Okay, got it.
Right? Any berries, any melons, any apples, those will all work in your favor. Drink a lot of water. You got some water right there? Drink a lot of water.
Yep.
And I'll tell you this. We eat at these special occasions like there are special occasions that will never occur again. We just literally named, including Thanksgiving.
It's gonna happen again.
It's gonna happen.
First of all, Thanksgiving in November, Christmas in December. You know what's gonna happen with King Holiday in the middle of January.
New Year.
2 weeks later, it's gonna be Super Bowl.
It's
gonna be all that.
It's always gonna be something. So when you think about it from that perspective, but the thing is, a lot of us eat like it's a special occasion when it's not a special occasion. We feast, we go to restaurants, we do all these things when it's not a special occasion. So what you want to do is you want to make at least half of your plate fruits, vegetables, preferably raw. So like salad and some fruit, whatever those options are. You want to make a quarter of your plate cooked vegetables.
Okay.
And then that last quarter of your plate, have at it. Whatever.
Now, how many? Okay, so how many? So my man Terry Starks, he's a firm believer is you eat 5 times a day, but in terms of much smaller meals. Because what he says is that he says, look, when you're eating 5 meals a day, and again you're regulating. So like he may have one thing he talked about was, let's say, 4 ounces of a meat, and then let's say 1 cup of a vegetable. He said, but if you're eating every 3 hours, then you're not starving your body and you're drinking water in between. So he said portion control, because you said it, have your game plan. So for what you're saying there, still your portion control.
Portion control is tough when you're talking about foods that you're addicted to, though.
Yeah, I had the portion control straight on Thanksgiving, except that table where my mama's pineapple cream cheesecake was.
Exactly. Then it all goes out the window.
There was no portion control.
There is no portion control.
Whenever that cake is involved.
There is no such thing as portion control when it comes to addiction. So what I always tell people is, but if you know you're going to go to this special event, you know you're going to go to this dinner, grab an apple or something on your way there. Eat something. What we like to do is we like to say, okay, I'm not going to eat until Christmas dinner. I'm not going to eat until Thanksgiving dinner.
Well, then you're starving yourself.
So you're starving yourself. So when you get there, it's no matter what your game plan is, it's out the window.
Okay, but so here's the whole deal. Bottom line is, folks did it. So now you're back. Right. So I think today I had an early flight out of Houston. So it's like 6:30 in the morning. Mm-hmm. So I think I grabbed bacon and egg sandwich. Didn't do chips or anything on the plane. Got hold, did a protein drink. And then I said, okay, let me drink this and try to get as much water. So again, coming back, and when I leave here, definitely run by and get me some green apples. So again, now that you're back in the mix, okay.
What you want to do is
you can't continue the post-Thanksgiving thing for the next 48 hours.
You can't. So what you want to do is eat circumspect as you go. You know, eat so even the days of the holidays, eat normally, and then let these aberrations be aberrations. Like I said, fruit is your best friend. So you just eat some fruit, find the fruit you like. I mean,
so get you some fruit, put it in. But also, how much though? So put it like in a container. So if you do, okay, so let's say if I got some blackberries. Let's say I got some blackberries, some raspberry. Boom, I throw in a green apple. So when I do my protein shake, should I do a banana in my protein shake?
No bananas. At all. No bananas.
Okay.
The bananas will do you dirty because bananas are starchy carbs and they're going to trigger all those addictions. They're going to make you start going wild anyway. But here's the thing with fruit. I've never had to tell somebody portion control the apple. If I give you 5 apples that you love, you're going to eat one and you're going to say those other 4 are nice. You know what I mean? You don't do that with cookies. We don't do that with pretzels.
Right.
So the foods that are great for you, like even your water, you're pacing yourself. You didn't just kill that whole thing. Unless it was a hot day and you just finished working out, you're just going to sip your water. Any food that's really on program, you will not consume addictively. So just take as much as you want, and you'll find yourself looking at it like, okay, I had an apple, I had some berries. If I gave you 10 pounds of strawberries, you're not going to eat all 10 pounds.
Right.
You'll eat as many as you need, and you'll put the rest away.
Questions for the panel. Let's see here. Let's see who probably lost their mind for Thanksgiving. Julian, you know you did, so go ahead and what's your first question? You know you did.
I did not lose my mind. I went to somebody's house and had a nice balanced meal that included capon, 3 vegetables, excuse me. No, I did not. I don't eat crazy.
But how many glasses of wine you had?
That's another story.
See, right. See, I knew. See, she thought I was going to lose my mind with the food. I knew the alcohol was involved.
There's always something.
Go ahead.
I had a couple of margaritas, maybe 3. But that's another story. My question, I mean, you're talking about the cleansing. I don't believe in it. I'm with you about this episodic cleansing and living right for about 5 minutes and going back to your old habits. So going forward, we got about 6 weeks of partying between Christmas and then Super Bowl, Dr. King, New Year's. When you said people should, what am I trying to say? What guideposts should people take with them no matter where they are? You talked about the apples. There should be something behind my head is always veggies because I love veggies. I always try to have more veggies. What's the guidepost that you would suggest people have behind their head as they go to these groaning tables of wonderful looking food? And Roland, next time invite me to your mama's house, I'll eat more.
Girl.
So here's the deal. If you look at your plate as a pie chart, 50% of that plate should be raw fruit or veggie options. 25% of that plate should be your cooked veggie options, your roasted Brussels sprouts, your green beans like Roland mentioned. That last 25%, have what you want. Whatever it is, you can't stack vertically now. You gotta stack side by side, but have whatever you want. And I actually have a holiday eating guide, so anybody watching, if you just DM me your email address, I'll send you a whole holiday eating guide that'll show you how to navigate this. But you want basically, in essence, 75% of your consumption to be plants and fruit, and then that remaining 25 you can get away with for now, but then when you're in between these things, don't take the doggy bags home. Don't take the extra stuff home. Enjoy it for what it's worth when you're there, and then leave it at that experience, because these experiences, as we just discussed, are going to keep coming up. They're going to keep coming around.
What's a reasonable amount of weight to lose in a week?
2 pounds.
Two.
So you can do more.
So if you weigh yourself today and you down 2 next Monday, that was a good week.
Yeah, it's a good week. Now, what I would also tell people, now we've got these scales that give you your body fat percentage. Pay attention to that even more than the weight. If you're losing 0.5% body fat percentage, give or take 1. Let's just say 0.4. If you're losing that and losing weight, you're losing weight the right way. If you lose weight and you see your body fat percentage go up, you're actually starving yourself, and that's going to work against you in the end.
Okay. All right. I'm a Congo.
Yeah, Mr. Mack, I really appreciate all of the work that you do and your messages online and the like. As you're talking about the fruits and vegetables, do you distinguish between, one of my challenges when I'm traveling is the whole difference between, organic versus non-organic. Are there, weight concerns or sugar concerns that we should be dealing with when it comes to non-organic versus organic fruits and vegetables as we're trying to work our way back to where we want to be?
That's a great question. Ideally, organic foods are better, but at the same time, sometimes they're more expensive. Sometimes organic, it all depends on where you're starting, because if the seeds are genetically modified, they're not really organic to start with. If the fertilizer isn't organic, then it's still not technically organic. So what I would really advocate for people to do is get in the habit of eating vegetables, then get fancy about it after.
Renata.
Thanks for being on. This is very helpful information you're giving us. So my question is, a lot of times when we know we're going to have a huge meal, family meal, whether it's Thanksgiving or Christmas, a lot of times people's strategy can be, I'm not going to eat anything all day because I know I'm going to have a huge Thanksgiving or Christmas dinner.
Boom! You just made a mistake.
That was my question. Do you think that is a good idea, or should people eat small meals so that you don't eat that much when you get to Thanksgiving or dinner? Just talking about this one day, not every day, but just Thanksgiving.
It's a horrible idea, because when you starve yourself, whatever rules you walked in the door with will go out the window as soon as you get access to whatever the first thing it is that you eat. You don't want to trigger your addiction. We're all addicted to sugar. And at the end of the day, if you really break it down and look at what it is that pulls us to most foods, it's either sugar, salt, or fat. So what I would say is eat as normal. Maybe don't eat as heavy. Don't eat as big a breakfast. But again, I talked about fruit earlier. Eat some fruit. That's something that's painless. You won't overeat it. Find a fruit that you enjoy, so you enjoy the process. You're not forcing yourself to eat something you don't like. And then drink some water. And then when it comes time, you can actually look at the food and enjoy it. If you break it down the way I told you, so you have like that 50% of your plate, which is fruits and raw vegetables, i.e. salad, 25% of your plate, which is vegetables, and then 25 being that other thing, you'll really pick and choose, and you'll start to eat these things and enjoy the bites. When you pay attention to when you just pile your plate and just eat, you'll just be shoveling. Anytime you are eating, I want to make sure this is clear. Anytime you're eating in an addictive manner, where you just are just shoveling food, just mindlessly eating, that should be a key and a trigger to you to let you know that you're eating the wrong thing the wrong way. Because we don't do that. Like I said, me and Rose sitting here right now, that bottle of water, he's just taking cool sips every now and then.
Damn, I wish I had some Chips Ahoy.
But if it was a lemonade, he would have crushed that. If it was a lemonade, he would just killed that and been looking for another one. So that's how you know. Our bodies will tell us all the time. Matter of fact, you never eaten a salad or apples and then caught the itis. Never once. Never once. But if you eat a bunch of potato salad and yams, boom, you just knocked out. Your body's telling you what's going on. And our bodies tell us all the time. We just normalize those things and call them cute names like the itis. But really, pay attention to what your body's telling you when you're eating.
Last point. Folks are, I love the people who go fitness crazy. And you always say, bottom line is, look, losing the weight is 80-20, changing what you eat and how you eat as opposed to the fitness piece. So Thanksgiving is now over. And again, for the people who again, you could try to go crazy, think you about to go through this whole circuit deal. What would you say to folks right now? Just do a basic walk? Just to get your body moving?
If you get your heart rate moving, if you were to check your heart rate and it's at about 145 beats per minute, if you were to sustain that for 25 minutes, that's all you really need to burn fat. Going up a flight of stairs will take you to that level. What I would always recommend to people is, the dirty little secret is, if you're eating on program, you're actually cleansing, because on program foods go through your system in 24 hours. You drink that bottle of water, you're gonna go to the bathroom in a couple hours, right? But when you eat
Hell no, I'm gonna go back in about 20 minutes.
There it is. But if you're eating foods that are off
this
program,
is 33.8 ounces.
Alkaline, yeah. So what happens is, if you're eating foods that are off program, they stay in your system for 2 and 3 days. So anytime you're eating fruits and vegetables, it's going to go through your system in a day. So the more you eat those and put those in your system, the more you're cleansing yourself anyway. You don't have to go on these crazy cleanses or these off the chain.
Unless you eat that Thanksgiving food, then eat some oatmeal the next morning, you'll be all right. It'll clean you out. Or some prunes or something.
But it's no need to put yourself through something that feels unpleasant. You know, what I want you to do is find the stuff that you enjoy that's on program. If you need help with it again, just DM me. I'll gladly.
Because that's also what happens. I think what happens when you look at some of these, when you talk about some of the food stuff, is like when you looking at it, you like, damn. Right there, you know, it's going to be a problem.
And that's why depravity is never really the best option. Although, if we're trying to lose weight, we do need to be smarter about what we're eating.
Gotcha. Do you mind protein shakes?
I do. I don't do supplements, man. I feel like nature gives us such a leg up. And if we give our bodies natural food, find natural sources. Now, in some instances, there are supplements that help because somebody might be having an aversion to dairy or something like that.
So you don't think a protein shake is a meal replacement?
It can be, but I would rather replace the meal with like a smoothie made of yogurt and fruit and flaxseed as opposed to a powdered shake, because in that powdered shake is going to be a hidden sugar, and that's going to keep working against you.
So versus that, so like the green smoothies and stuff like that,
look at the ingredients, man, because just because it's green doesn't mean it's great.
Right.
You know, sometimes it'll be green, it'll have all kinds of pineapple and all kinds of sugar in it, and that sugar is what we're trying to avoid.
Got it. All right, tell folks how to reach you.
Man, find me at Instagram at KUTIMACK, Cootie Mac. Find me on Facebook, BYBD Fitness. You can go online at bybdfitness.com. And like I said, direct message me with your email address. Tell me that you saw me here. I will send you for free a whole holiday eating guide that'll help you navigate all of this stuff that we just talked about tonight.
All right, Renita, Julian, Obakongo, let's see who's going to be down at least 2 pounds by next Monday.
Next Monday, let's do it.
We'll see. We'll see. All right, Cootie Mac, I appreciate it, baby.
Man,
thanks a bunch.
Yes, sir.
Folks, that is it. Don't forget, support us in what we do. First of all, let me thank Renita, Obakongo, and Julian for joining us on today's panel. Folks, you can always join our Bring the Funk fan club. Your dollars make it possible for us to do what we do. It's critically important to do the work that we do. You take that conversation we had about what's happening in New York with the Foz case, the Jonathan Majors case. Look, you're not going to have that level of in-depth conversation on MSNBC, CNN, ABC, Fox News, any of those networks. This is why we got to have our own, have that conversation. So send your check and money order to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 20037, that's 0196. Cash App, $RM Unfiltered, PayPal, R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered, Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You, of course, can also download the Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. You can watch our 24-hour, 7-day-a-week streaming channel on, of course, Amazon News by going to Amazon Fire. Then you go to Amazon News. You can tell Alexa, play news from the Black Star Network. You can also watch us on Plex TV, Amazon Freevee, as well as Amazon Prime Video. Go to their live TV grid. You can watch our news channel right there next to all the others. And don't forget to get a copy of my book, White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds, available at bookstores nationwide. And you see these commercials running for Le Mans Kitchen, the seasoning. If you actually go to, it's on my social media. I thought I had the graphic, but I don't right now. If you go to You can go check it out. The seasoning, give me 1 second. You get $10 off if you use the promo code RMU. So if you go to, again, Lemond Kitchen, the gift box there, Lemond Kitchen, LEMOND kitchen.com. Again, that's the commercial right there. Pull the audio down for me, thank you. And then use RMU, the promo code. You'll get $10 off of that seasoning. So there you go. Folks, that's it. I'll see you tomorrow right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Holla! Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland. Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?